So this is my newly purchased GQ Patrol. In this video I'm going to have a chat about what my initial modification plans are. Now before we get started, this is not going to be a big dollar build, I can guarantee you that. I have 4 kids, got a mortgage. There's not as much free cash as some people have. It's not going to be a sponsored build or anything like that. Well, for one, I don't have any channel sponsors, so there's one reason why it's not going to happen. So this is just going to be a lot of basic stuff that pretty much anybody should reasonably be able to afford. So I'm thinking the reasonable thing to do for this video is probably let's just start from the front of the car and work our way back. So probably the initial thing I want to do is these old headlights. I'm thinking I'm going to put some LEDs in. I'm thinking I might try a local Perth company, Bang & Headlights. They've got some units that got glass headlights with LED projectors in them. They look kind of nice, and I think they'd still suit this era rather than the modern style. If you've got any other suggestions, let me know in the comments below. While we're also at the front, the recovery points. So I think you agree, these are just a tie down. They look pretty flimsy and weak, so I'm probably going to have to do something to improve that recovery situation. That front bar may get in the way of a proper recovery point. While we're also up the front, I've got this little waste of time light bar here. I'm probably going to turf that. I'll probably reuse my spotties that are on my disco, and throw those here as well. So yeah, that's going to save a little bit of money by doing that way. But for the moment, I don't mind that bar too much. I mean, I'm not planning to put a winch or anything on here just yet. To be honest, I've had a winch on my previous Land Rover. I've basically used it once to pull somebody else out that wasn't even a 4-wheel drive. So I'm thinking probably go to a roof rack, which I'm going to need anyway, because basically I travel with the 3rd row because of kids, so I've got no boot space anyway. And just go with some max tracks up there. Probably 2 pairs of those would be enough for most place scenarios, especially in Western Australia. So after my visit with Byron, definitely those Commodore bonnet struts I think is going to be a way to go. I mean, this bonnet weighs a fair ton, and I've kind of been spoiled over the last several years with every vehicle, well, every 4-wheel drive has had gas struts on it. So going back to the old manual stick, yeah, well, I think we'll improve that. While we're under the bonnet, I think a dual battery is required. I'm sort of on the fence whether to go a tray under the bonnet and just a second battery there, probably just a standard lead acid deep cycle, or do I upgrade and go lithium and put that in the cab? I don't know yet. I'm thinking probably the simplest method and just the dual battery here will suffice for now. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, and a turbo, that would be really nice to have. Unfortunately, this is, like I mentioned earlier, this is not going to be a big budget sponsored build that you'd normally see on YouTube. So while I'd like to do it, it's probably not going to happen for a little while. Yeah, it just is what it is. You know, family of 4 kids, mortgage. Yeah, even though I'm on good dollars, it doesn't last long with that sort of financial commitment. So these wind deflectors, they are going to go. Previous incident has I've had problems with these. Hopefully not a scenario I want to repeat again. It's probably a story for another time. But if you want to know why, I'll probably be doing a video about that probably a bit later on in the year. So yeah, it's a biggie to me personally, but there is reasons why I'm thinking those are going. Also worth noting, the AC on this doesn't work. Now, the previous owner told me that it gassed up, and he gassed it up and it leaked out within a couple of days. I don't know what the full story is in there yet. I've got to put a belt on the AC and see what the go is. But yeah, that's a big one for getting this ready for basically normal holiday use. Inside the cab, I'm hoping to keep this pretty simple, to be honest. Standard UHF communication, that's going to be going in. Obviously, antenna for that, probably bull bar mounted. I'd need to weld on a mount for that because there's nothing on there at the moment. And now, while the factory stereo is retro and kind of cool in its own way, I think it doesn't work real well, so it's got to go. And what I mean by it doesn't work very well, when I touch the volume button, turn it on. Yeah, it's trash. Probably new speakers as well all around. So while I'm in the process of replacing that stereo, I'm thinking about, because that's, to throw a double din down here, it's kind of useless. If you know these cars, it's a bad spot to have basically a modern style stereo. So I know there's a couple of kits that swap everything around and bring it up higher. There's one real expensive one that brings it all the way up here and swaps the air vents down, but I know there is another cheaper one that I've seen that basically brings it up just under the air vents, moves all the air vent controllers down. I think that might be an option. I'm going to look into that. If anybody's got any other ideas there, I have seen some people make a pod and mount them up the top on the dash here. My wife is not keen on that idea, so that is probably not going to happen at all. Possibly, maybe later, some extra gauges, maybe like engine temp and stuff up here or on the A-pillar. There's a few options there, I don't know. While I'm in here as well, I'll probably update the brake controller. And while I'm also in the cab, cruise control, that's a thing that's missing. Like, this is obviously an old rig. That is an awesome luxury to have in Australia. So I'm probably going to look at some sort of cruise control unit for this. And probably one thing as well inside the cab that really kind of, it doesn't irk me, but it's a letdown of the quality of how good the interior is just this driver's seat. So you can see, obviously the foam here is gone. It's a bit discoloured there. This plastic has broken its mounting here, so I want to fix that up, and that will probably bring the interior up to a pretty good standard once that's done. I wouldn't mind doing like XR6 seats in it, but yeah, I don't know. I know they're a lot more comfortable. Yeah, I'm not convinced. Again, for some reason, my missus doesn't like the idea of changing those seats over. She likes the standard look trim, so yeah, what do you do? And window tint, while it's functional, it's not 100% perfect, so I'll probably look at doing that in the future as well. In the back seat, probably not too much going to happen here, to be honest. Maybe some USB power points at the back of the console. That may be a thing to look at doing. I'm not too sure whether anything will fit in there or not. I haven't looked into it, but it's definitely a good thing for keeping devices charged and all that. Probably wouldn't mind looking at redoing the pockets on the back of the passenger and driver's seat. They're a bit flimsy, but it's not a big deal. Look, when it comes to the back, probably not a huge amount here because, like I said, third row seat in here doesn't leave much room. I could probably get a small fridge at the, probably sitting in there. I'll fit my main one in my camper. That is probably about as far as it goes. So I'll definitely need to put some power outlets in here, basically for running a fridge. And really, that's probably about it, really. Some power outlets in the back. It's going to be real simple. Also, while down the back, this recovery point, it doesn't look the best. From what I've researched, they're kind of weak. So if there's some better options out there, let me know. Could always use the tow bar. That's probably not too much of an issue. But can that be replaced with a decent unit and used for a recovery point? Let me know in the comments below. When it comes to down the back, trailer electrics, I'll probably just going to change the trailer plug just to suit my plugs on all my trailers. Not a biggie there. And an Anderson plug for powering up the camper. Oh, and we've got this old big ugly reverse light. So that is going to go, and maybe I'll put some neater LEDs or something in the wing, in the bumper wings. I don't know, we'll see how we go. Apart from that, it's going to be pretty simple. So this is running the factory 15-inch steel rims with 31-inch tyres. I'm going to go 16s, whether that means going to a factory GQ alloy or maybe a GU alloy in 16. I don't know yet. It's probably just going to be a second-hand purchase, and whichever I can maybe get cheaper. we'll see how we go. And probably just some 265, 75, 16 tyres, just all-terrains. This is just going to be for touring, so it doesn't need too much more. Had a look at the suspension on this. Now, this has already got some King springs in it. I've just had a look. The rears were a KD FR43, I think it was. Can't see make out any markings on the front. They're pretty grubby. It does have some aftermarket Oztech shocks in it. They look pretty old, so might just be some new shocks in it and run with that. I don't think I'll do anything with the side steps. To be honest, I don't normally do anything too extreme that would warrant bending them up, but it may end up with some rock sliders as about really the only additional body armour along this section. And probably the final mod will be probably fuel capacity. At the moment, it's just got a single factory, I think a 95 litre rear tank. Probably not really suitable for the touring range. So there is plenty of space under the car for the sub. So I'd rather probably get a sub tank with the extra weight that's forward of the rear axle rather than just going to a bigger rear tank with all that weight behind the rear axle. So what do you think on that for extra fuel? Is that a reasonable thing to look at, or would you do something different? And yeah, I touched on it earlier. Roof rack. I'm gonna have to run a roof rack when touring. I believe I'm probably not going to be able to get away from that for now. I'd rather not have one, but yeah, just a flat platform rack. I'll probably just use my simple King's awning on it. Nothing flash. I don't use the awning all that much anyway, so there's no point spending money on a fancy one. It just is what it is. I like to keep it simple. And not really a mod, but the windscreen rubber, that could do with replacing, so that's probably a maintenance thing. I might look at doing that. Plus also the two rear window rubbers, they're definitely getting a bit, how you going? They're probably originals, and like I said in the earlier video, this is a 1989 model, so it's not a fresh bay pup anymore. So I think that kind of covers most of the mods that I've got just straight off the top of my head. If there's something that you think that I should look at, whether that's something I've missed or basically a product that you highly recommend that I should look at that over everything else, please let me know. I'm sure there's other things that I'll probably would have forgotten in this video that, hey, I might update later on and do it. But that's pretty much the way I'm thinking it's going to go. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to add your comments below. Give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos on this GQ, then don't forget to subscribe and you won't miss out on any of my further uploads.